there, you guys. So I have missed you. I have probably not shot anything for a month, which is fairly typical. And this time, yeah, it's been a little bit different. This has probably been one of the most challenging months of my life. And so this video is kind of not talking about my problems because they're really not problems. It was just challenging on a number of levels. But through that, I've definitely learned a lot. I have had to sit with myself a lot and listen and stuff like that. And this is definitely part of my creative process, I guess. This has been happening where I'll go through periods of flow and then flip to a period of an ebb. Ever since I sort of took the leap and became an artist, I think that it has to do with the level of authenticity that is required for me to show up for my art. But I basically have to also show up with that same level of authenticity, it seems, for my life. And I am a pretty authentic person. I definitely don't think anyone would accuse me of not being, but sometimes there are truths about yourself that you don't even know. Just stuff that has been really, that goes really deep, and some ways that you're behaving that I was behaving that weren't in line with my truth anymore. I was doing some things that weren't serving me anymore. And I guess being an artist is the most vulnerable thing I have ever done in my life. I show up every day and I pour my heart onto the page. And that's the only way that I can do it. That's the only way. I can't create from energy that is not genuine, because then it's not my art, it's not my voice. And because of that, I have noticed that when certain things in my life aren't supporting that, if I am going out and drinking too much, when I'm hungover, I'm just gonna be honest, I can't do anything. I cannot do art. So all of these things kind of came to a head in March, and it came after a period of a lot of flow and a lot of productivity in February. And I basically was expecting to just ride that flow wave right into March, and then the universe had other plans for me. So I went into a massive ebb on all sorts of levels. I feel like this was a really rambling intro, and I'm probably gonna shoot it again, but that is what happened. And I have taken my 3 lessons from my ebb, and basically I'm just gonna go and talk about my experience and why I think it's really important to learn how to embrace your ebb to level up your creativity. So here we go. All right, so in typical me fashion, I have 3 things that I learned from this epic ebb of mine. So the first thing is acknowledge and accept. What happened to me, what always happens to me, is as soon as I get into a really good state of flow and I feel like I have my routine set and I'm getting business in, but at the same time I'm doing my personal work and my inspiration there, and everything is just in lockstep, I start to hold on to this idea that everything's going really well and it just must keep getting better. I hold on to that idea really tight. And as soon as I get too sort of tight of a grip, it seems to be exactly when it starts to just disintegrate in my hands like sands through the hourglass. So I think the first thing to do is just release the notion that you actually have control over your creativity and your creative process, and even honestly a lot of aspects of your life. Do that knowing that everything is going to be okay. So I think the worst thing to do, basically when you start to ebb or you start to lose your inspiration, however you want to look at it, is to resist. Because then not only are you uninspired, but you're also feeling guilty about not being productive. And guilt is doubly uninspiring. So I think the first thing to do is really to know what it feels like when you start going into a period where you feel like you want to ebb, and accept it and say, all right, I'm ready. Let's do this. So number 2 is, okay, so how do you do it? What do you get out of it? Like, how do you just be with your ebb? And so I've really said that number 2 is listen. I believe that an ebb period in your life, in your art, has so much to tell you. And it's all stuff like from the inside that it's trying to say. There are so many truths that come like out of the darkest times. So I think it's really important to just slow down as much as you can. Some people's lives don't allow for them to slow down as much. And like, I'm definitely not saying don't complete your deadlines. No, that's a given. Like, you've got to you've got to fulfill your responsibilities, but cut out the extra stuff. If you are trying to post like an Instagram post every day, just don't do that. It doesn't matter. Don't make it harder for yourself. Take the time to really relax into it, because basically your creativity is telling you, like, I need a break. Enough. Like, my muscles are sore, and we need to rest so we can restore and integrate to make the flow next time even better. So take a seat with it and listen to it over a cup of tea. Try to be in silence. Journaling really, really helps for me. Like, really, my journal is my therapist every morning. And try to understand what this particular ebb is here to tell you. And the third and final lesson here that I have learned is love your ebb. Because sometimes the way to level up is not straight up. Like, sometimes you got to go down a few levels and sort some shit out at base camp. And then when you start to go up again, things are easier. Sometimes, okay, better metaphor, same kind of thing. But sometimes you've got to lighten your load. Sometimes maybe you don't need all of the crazy equipment that you decided to take up Mount Everest. So go down and leave that shit at base camp. And empower yourself to be able to do it, because at the end of the day, creativity does not leave you. It's not how it works. just because you have nothing to say, you know, just because you have nothing to give. I'm getting kind of emotional, actually. But just because you have nothing to give for the entire month of March does not actually mean that you're never going to be able to create anything again. And it doesn't mean that you have not been doing equally as important work, but not on the paper, you know? I know that, like, wherever my creativity comes from is the best, most pure, and most true place within my soul. And if there are things in my life that are blocking that, if there are things in my life that are taking energy, and sometimes I don't even realize these things, the best thing that I can do is to not sit down with a piece of paper and force the creativity out. It's to remove the blocks and acknowledge them and remove them with love and appreciation, you know? But yeah, to basically let yourself feel your emotions and don't judge yourself for being in a creative funk, you know? I mean, I'm saying this for myself because I am my harshest critic, and a lot of times, like, if I sit down and nothing comes out, like, the first thing that I say is, what's wrong with you? And that's just silly. Nothing's wrong with me. I just need more love, you know? I just, like, need a little attention, you know? My soul just needs an attention. Like, you know, my source is empty. My cup is empty. And so fill the damn cup. Rather than trying to get, like, the last drop out. Yeah, my metaphors are all over the place, and this message might also be all over the place because it's super fresh and I'm still processing. But what my ebb told me is that, like, I have to be okay with being, like, 100% myself. And myself it's very vulnerable. I'm a very vulnerable person, and that is how I have to show up. And I cannot worry about what other people think of me. Like, I have to just give my whole self, and I have to, like, treat everything with compassion and as much love as possible. But if there are things, people that don't accept me for who I am, just have to release them. It's okay. So yes, that was my kind of rambling, semi-emotional synopsis of this month of ebbing, being in a creative funk, whatever you want to call it. And I hope that some of this resonated with you, and I hope that you didn't mind, like, the candid rambling. It's a little bit less structured than my usual stuff, but I think that's kind of fitting, actually, for how I'm feeling about things right now. So I will see you again soon with some painting stuff and some project stuff and my usual stuff. And it was good seeing your faces. I would love to hear if you guys have ebbed or are ebbing or whatever you want to tell me. I love to hear it. So until I see you next time, TTFN. Hello there, guys. This is a story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down. No, I'm actually not kidding. Actually, this is a story about that. So basically, I'm just gonna cut to the chase. I have been in a complete creative funk for the last month. This is following a very, very good, productive, on point month of February, where I was feeling good about everything. And then literally as soon as the full moon happened, which was the 1st of March, like it just all came crashing down, and from a lot of different levels. And so this is not about going into the details of that, but this is about trying to be really candid and honest and vulnerable with you guys about some of the lessons, both life lessons and lessons in creativity, because I feel like they're one and the same, that I learned in basically how to embrace my ebb. Because embracing my ebb does not come naturally to me. I am a perfectionist. I don't say that in a good way. I am, or I have been, a very type A person. I don't like letting go of the illusion that I am in control of my life. But this month, I had to let all of those things go.